Okay, so today we are going to talk about the control structures, and as I believe that you guys have already studied it in your theory class, so we won't take much time for these slides, and we will directly go to our lab tasks. Let's just go through them. Control structures are referred to as control statements, and if you look at the name control, so that means that these are something that are related to the control of the program. So it's kind of a statement through which we control it. Now, control means that we may stop the program, we may skip some steps, we may do addition, subtraction, or anything. I mean, whatever we want to do at a particular point by getting the control of the program. So, if even you look in your everyday life, you also make decisions. For example, if you are you are buying at a vending machine. I don't know if there are any vending machines around, but if you look at the McDonald's, that is a vending machine because you select things and then you pay at the counter. But that is also a vending machine because you select different food items from that screen, that machine. Similarly, when you are using an ATM machine, so you also have many options and then you select one option. So the selection of one option is kind of a decision making process. You decide to select something, and based upon your selection, then that machine takes the action. Similarly, in C++, we also have that facility, and we have decision making statements. Now, of course, that is different from the vending machine and the ATM machine, but we can make the compiler take decisions based on the values of variable, and that is the only thing we can do because variables is something that we store our data. So let's say if my data is of a certain value, then I can ask the compiler to do this or do that. So remember that the decisions in C++ can be taken based on the values of the variables. अच्छा, I will say this in Urdu once as well. Okay, देखिए C++ में भी हम डिसीजन लेते हैं, लेकिन वो डिसीजन किस बेस पर लेते हैं? जिस बेस में पर उस बेस पर कि हमारे वेरिएबल की क्या वैल्यू है। अब मैंने एक वेरिएबल डिक्लेयर कर दिया, या तो मैं यूजर से वैल्यू लूंगी या खुद उसमें डालूंगी और कंपाइलर से कहूंगी कि अगर इसकी वैल्यू ये हुई तो ये करो। उसके अलावा तो हम और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कैलकुलेशंस में और वेरिएबल की वैल्यू के बेस पर ही हम चेंजेस या डिसीजन मेकिंग कर सकते हैं। तो so for decision making we have a statement that is called as conditional statements, and C++ has three conditional statements: the if statement, the if else, and the switch statement. Now there is another way of if as well, that is called nested if. And because we missed the first lab, I cannot teach you nested if also. I will only teach you if and if else. So we have to take one extra lab. I mean, a lab that is not in your schedule, but one extra in order to compensate for the first lab. You can also accommodate it in during this lab. But I just don't want to overwhelm you guys because I think that if I teach you if and if else and nested if in the same lab, then and it is also online, so then it may be confusing for you guys. So that's why I want nested if to be taught in and switch to be taught in some other class. Okay, now remember one thing before going to the if statement. First, we must understand that what are logical expressions, because if statement works on logical expressions. Okay, you cannot just say if this or if that. You have to write a logical expressions in front of if statement. So, what is a logical expression? See, data operator data. What does that mean? Data can be the value of a variable, or it can just be data, like 2021. An operator can be plus, minus, uh, subtraction, less than, equal to, whatever is our requirement. Similarly, what we do is that we would analyze that logical expression. Let's see here. These are the relational operators that are used most of the time in our if else statements. So what is this? Less than. greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Now remember, not a single equal to, जिस तरह के maths में use होता है single equal to. This is not maths. This is C++. The single equal to has already been taken by the assignment operator. So you cannot, if you have to check equality, then you have to use double equal to. Similarly, the last one is not equal to. Okay, now this is a logical expression. You see, data, operator, data. So, and we always write it inside small bracket. 17 is less than 42. True. 42 is greater than 17. अब ये एक ही बात है, दो तरीकों से उसने की है. Yes, that is also, I mean, it's the same thing, but we can write it in many ways. 17 is equal to 42. No, it is false. 42 is not equal to 17. Yes, this is true. 17 plus 10, which is actually 27, is greater than 42 minus 2, which is 40. No, this is false. 17 into 3 is less than or equal to 17 plus 17 plus 17. Yes, I think this is true. Okay. So it means that if you look at the previous side, we use data. We can also use direct variables, like this is variable A and this is B. And now, rather than writing 17 and 42, we can write 17 A and B. It's the same thing. And again, it says that when you are using single is equal to, remember that this is actually the assignment operator, not the equality operator. And when you are using less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, these are wrong signs. First you would use this sign and then this sign. See, this sign comes first, and this sign, if you say is equal to or greater than, then that will be wrong, and the compiler will call it an invalid expression. Okay, similarly, we also use and or. You would say, what is that? If you revise your first semester, you must have learned about AND gates and OR gates. For now on, just remember the truth table of AND gate and OR gate. You know, here we are saying true, true, which is actually 1, 1, and we say false is 0. So if you remember, in AND gate, we have only 1 when the input was 1, 1. Remember the table, it's like a multiplication thing. If there was only 1, 0, the output was 0. See, it's like 1, 0, 0, 0. But OR was different. In OR, you were always getting 1, even if there was a single one. But at the end, when both of them were 0 inputs, then you were getting a 0. So this means that if we have two conditions, both of them must be true. If we put them in an AND gate, then you are going to get 1. But even if one of them is false, then the AND gate will give you a false answer. Now we will see this in example, that what are we actually talking about. Let's leave it. Okay. Let's do our if statement. This is the syntax of if statement. You write if, then the statement, which is actually the logical expression, and then this block. And this means that if this becomes true, whatever is this, then this happens. Otherwise, the program will leave this and come down if this is false. Okay. This is how if statement works. Now remember, this can be anything. This can be cout statement, this can be adding, addition, this can be subtraction, this can be any command given to the compiler. It will not always be cout. It can be anything, remember. So if this becomes true, then this happens, whatever is written inside the blocks. Otherwise, when this becomes false, then the compiler goes to the lower part of the program. Okay, I will say it in Urdu as well. देखिए, अगर आप इसके नाम को देखें तो इसका नाम है इफ, इफ यू लुक एट इट फ्रॉम उर्दू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू तो इसका नाम है इफ इज अगर, ठीक है। तो इवन आप इसके नाम से भी इसका काम बड़ी आसानी से समझ सकते हैं। क्या मतलब, अगर और इसके बाद एक एक्सप्रेशन, अगर ये सच हो गया यानी कि ये हो जाए तो फिर ऐसा करो, दैट्स व्हाट इट से। अगर लेट्स से 10 इज इक्वल टू 10 हो जाए तो सी आउट कर दो, या जो भी आपने इसको कमांड दी है। तो देखिए, अगर यानी कि दिस इज द वर्ड जो कि हमें डिसीजन मेकिंग दे रहा है। मतलब ये काम करो अगर ऐसा हो जाए, अगर ऐसा ना हो, जैसे कि फर्ज करें एक स्टूडेंट है और उसके मैंने मार्क्स निकालने हैं, तो ऐसे अगर उसके 50 से ऊपर नंबर आ गए तो यहाँ पे लिखो आपने, आप पास हो गए या आपका ग्रेड ये है। अगर उसके 50 से मार्क्स ज्यादा नहीं आते या 50 नहीं आते तो उसको हम ये नहीं कहेंगे कि तुम पास हो गए। दिस इज व्हाट if statement does, and this is one of the most important statements in your C++, and you would see up till the end you need if statement. And it may sound difficult right now, but with practice it will become so easy. See, I think the teacher would already have done this flow chart. If logical expression is true, then do this. Otherwise, do not do this and just go to the next part of the program. Same thing. Okay. Now let's go to our lab task. The first lab task, we are going to take two numbers from the user. We know how to take numbers from the user. Wait a minute. We have to take two numbers from the user. So I am declaring two variables, and let's ask the user enter two numbers. The user entered two numbers, and where do they go? One of them goes to A, the other of them goes to B. Okay, what does the lab says again? From user, okay, that this portion is done, and using if statement, display if the first number is smaller than the second. So the first number here is A and the second is B. So we have to display if A is greater than, sorry, if A is smaller than B. Yes, if A is smaller than B. Okay. So what do we have to do? Now, your current knowledge does not solve this problem, because in this problem you have to do comparison between A and B, that which one of them is, if A is smaller, then say A is smaller. So now comes the if statement. So this is how I write if, and now is the time to write the logical expression. So what does that mean? I have to check that if A is smaller than B, then I would say, so A is smaller than B, that's it. Now I would write it inside the blocks. So what should we do? Just write A. Now this statement, this displays directly the value of A, and say, and let's say display the value of B. Okay, so our program is done. अच्छा, देखिए इसमें हमने क्या किया, हमने यूजर से दो नंबर लिए, एक को ए में डाला, दूसरे को बी में डाला, और हमारा लैब टास्क कहता है ये चेक करे कि ए छोटा है बी से या नहीं। ठीक है, तो उसको चेक करने का तरीका क्या है? अगर ए बी से छोटा है, दिस इज द एक्सप्रेशन, तो क्या करो, जो भी इसमें लिखा है इस ब्लॉक में, इफ के डायरेक्ट बात, तो क्या लिखा है इस ब्लॉक में? इस ब्लॉक में हमने लिखा है कि ए, यहाँ पर हम ए की वैल्यू डिस्प्ले करेंगे और फिर अपना स्टेटमेंट डिस्प्ले करेंगे इज स्मॉलर देन, और उसके बाद बी। अब ये हम क्यों लिख रहे हैं? क्योंकि अगर ए की वैल्यू कुछ भी हो जाए, हमने यहाँ पर डायरेक्ट उसकी वैल्यू डिस्प्ले करेंगे। जैसे किसी ने 10 एंटर करे तो हम कहेंगे 10 इज स्मॉलर देन, यहाँ पे लेट्स से 20 था, एंड सो ऑन। तो यहाँ पर हम डायरेक्टली वैल्यूज के सामने कंपैरिजन कर रहे हैं। If this is true, then this will happen. If this is not true, then the program will just exit. Let's run it. So it says enter two numbers. So let's say A is 10 and B is 20. So B is greater than A. That means A is smaller than B. So our if condition would be true. And see, it says 10 is smaller than 20. So it directly displayed 10, then is smaller than, and then it displayed 20, which is the value of B. Okay, now let's give it values that would not fulfill the conditions. Let's enter 100 in A and let's say enter 2 in B. So now 100 is actually greater than B. Nothing happens. Our condition is not met. Okay, another thing. If you really want to understand, remember, ऐसा नहीं है कि like it's not like this. If condition has the capability to end the program, it is not ending the program. It is just not doing this thing. You want to check it after the if statement. Let's write another cout. This is the end. Whatever you want to write, just to see that the program has not ended. The program, I mean, it's not like if statement is ending the program. If statement is not being executed. If statement checked the condition and it said no, A is actually greater than B, so do not do this. And but the reason that the program exited because there is nothing after it. Okay, let's do it again. Again, enter A as 100 and B as 2. So again, the condition is false. But see, the last cout is displayed. This is the end. The reason that I write this last cout in order to make you believe that it's not ending the program. It's actually skipping this portion because this is false. Another thing that many people, if you look at the examples in book or you study it from the internet or anywhere, in some places people may use these blocks, these braces, and in some places people may not use them. It's okay, but the reason that we will use it because it will kind of give us the easiness to understand that what is after the if statement. So it is a better, or we can say it's a good programming practice to use these blocks. Otherwise, by default, the exact statement after if is actually related to the if statement. यानी कि अगर आप ना भी लिखें ये ब्रेसेस, तो if के बाद जो डायरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट है वही if के साथ रिलेटेड होती है, मतलब कंपाइलर के नज़र में. लेकिन वो स्टूडेंट के लिए कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट कर, जैसे कि अब अगर मैं ये दोनों हटा दूं तो आप समझेंगे कि ये दोनों सी आउट्स इसका हिस्सा हैं, मगर हकीकत में सिर्फ ये वाला सी आउट ही इसका हिस्सा है. तो इस वजह से आसान ये होगा कि आप इसको ब्रेसेस के अंदर लिखे ताकि आपको देखने में भी आसानी हो कि भाई ये जो कमांड है ये इफ के साथ रिलेटेड है. नाउ दिस कैन नॉट बी सी आउट ऑलवेज. You can just add something, you can subtract something, you can increment the value of a variable if this is true. You can multiply it with some value. You can give the compiler any command, not only cout, remember. Okay, and remember that sometimes the students put a semicolon here, which will always give you an error. So you do not put a semicolon after the if condition here. That will be an error. Why do we not put a semicolon? This is how the language is. Okay? So you have to learn the rules of the language. Okay. Yes, Azhar Khan.
Azir Khan.
Azhar Khan. Yes, yes. Azhar
Yes,
Khan. जी जी. अच्छा. Subi Mahmood Fahadul Hussain Electrical. Yes. You raised a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
I
yes.
think it's for attendance.
Oh, no, no, not attendance. You are left with 3 lab tasks. More. You cannot ask for attendance. Okay, let's go to the other lab tasks. This was lab task number 1, and this is the solution. Let's look at lab task number 2. It says modify lab task 1 so that the program can now check if the numbers are equal or not. That is very simple. Let's say rather than writing the entire program again, we have to see if they are equal. Sorry. This is how we check the equality sign. So, okay, so now rather than checking if A is less than B, हम लोग डायरेक्ट चेक करेंगे if A is equal to B. enter two numbers. So let's enter equal numbers. Let's say 9 and 9. Now the reason that it is being executed is because I have wrote the same thing. So let's say A is equal to B. Enter two numbers 9, 9. 9 is equal to 9. This is the end. Remember, the program doesn't do anything on its own. ये वही करेगा जो आप इसको कहेंगे. तो यहाँ पे चूंकि मैंने जो लिखा था ये तो वही डिस्प्ले कर रहा हूँ. तो the if condition was true, लेकिन डिस्प्ले इसने वही करना था जो पिछले वाले से हमने लिखा था. Let's give it a false condition. Let's say I entered 9 and let's say 7. So they are not equal. The if statement won't be executed and you would just get this is the end. Okay. Now let's look at the if-else statement. If-else statement says that sometimes we need to handle two alternatives. See, this was the first if statement. And let me give you an example. If let's say a student has scored some marks, let's say he scored 50 marks, and I say if, and then I write here the student scored 50, or let's say score is equal to 50 or greater than 50, yes, do see out you are passed, else you are failed. Now there is no expression here. Why? Because this is kind of the alternative of this. If this is true, okay, else this. I mean, this else is actually related to this f. It is not another if statement. It is the statement that will run if this becomes false. So this else is related, this else will happen when this is false. So there is no need to write another condition because its condition is kind of if this is false. I will see it in Urdu now for the Pakistani students. देखिए इसका मतलब ये है कि जैसे अगर स्टूडेंट के नंबर लेट्स से स्टूडेंट के नंबर हमने एक वेरिएबल में स्टोर किए हैं ग्रेड में, अगर सॉरी या परसेंटेज वेरिएबल में, यानी कि अगर नंबर 50 आ गए तो यहाँ पे क्या लिखो, ये 50 या 50 से ज्यादा आ गए तो आंसर लिखो उसको, तुम पास हो गए, एल्स नहीं तो तुम फेल हो गए. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पर हम ब्लॉक नहीं लिखेंगे. क्यों? क्योंकि ये एल्स इसके साथ रिलेटेड है. ये एल्स अपना अलग स्टेटमेंट नहीं है. ये एल्स तब होगा जब ये फॉल्स होगा. तो यहाँ पर दोबारा कुछ लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. इसका मतलब ये है अगर ये सच हुआ तो ऐसा करो, नहीं तो ऐसा करो. नहीं तो क्या मतलब, नहीं तो अगर ये झूठ हुआ तो फिर ऐसा करो. सो रिमेंबर देयर इज नो statement with else. It works on the previous if becoming false. If this is false, that means this will run. So if this is false, then do this. So it is kind of making the thing more elaborate and making it more better. If like if the student is failed, if the student gets the marks, you answer him you are yes, you are passed. But if he does not get the marks, then you haven't mentioned anything else. So else is kind of making the things more easier for you. Let's do an example on else statement. So now this is a very good program, and in this program you would also see uh, the use of modulus operator, which is a very important operator. See, write a program that checks whether a number is even or odd using if else. Now, before going to the program, remember one thing. Okay, this is even and odd. This is not something related to your maths. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. These are all even numbers. And what is their property? Can anyone tell me?
They are divided by 2.
They are completely divided by 2.
2.
So that means that if I have a number and I take the modulus with 2, so that means that I'm actually dividing it by 2. And if that is an even number, then it will be completely divided by 2. So what will be the remainder? The remainder will be 0.
0.
So I can now easily find an even number, let's say. Now what I've done, I've declared a variable a, and let's ask the user, Okay, that enter any number, enter a number, check if it's even or odd. Okay, the number goes to A. We got a number from the user and we stored it in the variable A. Now let's see if it is even or odd. So how am I going to check it? If the number modulus 2 is equal to 0, what does that mean? Let's say the user entered 10. 10 modulus 2 means divide 10 by 2 and check the remainder. Whatever is the remainder would be the answer. So 2 modulus 10 means, A modulus 10 means 10 divided by 2. So 2 5s are 10. What is the remainder? 0. So
Zero.
that is even number. So what should we do? See out. A is even. Now, rather than writing another condition and writing if A modulus 2 is not equal to 0, then we say it is odd number. I mean, that is one way. But why should we go to that process? We know that if it is not an even number, then definitely it is an odd number. So there's no need to write the condition. Just write else. Remember, no condition will else. It will happen when this is false. Okay. Just write. Sorry.
मैम अगर हम डायरेक्ट सी आउट लिख देते तो फिर भी यही आता ना, ये इज ऑड, ए इज ऑड।
हाँ, आपका मतलब है कि ब्रैकेट ना लिखते।
नहीं, एल्स की जगह एल्स बिल्कुल लिखते नहीं तो।
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल आपकी बात सही है। क्योंकि नहीं, देखिए वो फिर भी आता क्योंकि आपने कंडीशन नहीं दी ना। अगर ये ट्रू ना होता या ये ट्रू होता तो भी आता। ये भी मैं आपको कराती हूँ, ठीक है। If the if condition is false, then the program will come here if it is written. But even if we haven't written else, if this is true or this is false, the program will come here. अगर आप पिछली वाली लैब में देखें तो अगर ये ट्रू हो या फॉल्स हो, प्रोग्राम यहाँ पे आएगा। अगर यहाँ पे आपने एल्स नहीं लिखा, बट अगर आपने एल्स लिखा है तो ये तब आएगा जब ये फॉल्स होगा। ठीक है, लेट्स रन इट। enter a number to check if it's even or odd. Let's enter 10. 10 is even number, so 10 is even number. Now it is not coming here. ठीक है, let's enter an odd number. 5. Sorry, 4 is an even number. 5. 5 is odd. ठीक है, odd or odd number. Now you are saying that let's do not write this. Okay, so see here, I cannot put these brackets by law. Okay, now this will always run even if the condition is true or false. See, you would see it. Enter a number to check if it's enter 10. 10 is even number, 10 is odd. See, let's make the condition, let's give it an odd number. So odd number is 3. 3 is odd. See, so this will always run क्योंकि जब ये if होगा या ट्रू हो या फॉल्स होगा। लेकिन मैंने आपसे कहा ना कि पिछले में कि प्रोग्राम इस पे डिपेंड करता है। इसके बाद जो भी होगा वो होगा, वो प्रोसेस ये फॉलो करेगा। तो ऐसा नहीं है कि ये सिर्फ इस पे ये तब होगा जब आप जो है तो इफ अगर फॉल्स हो गई इफ की कंडीशन तो प्रोग्राम एग्जिट होगा। नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। इफ की कंडीशन अगर फॉल्स हो गई तो प्रोग्राम जो है वो सिर्फ इफ के ब्लॉक को स्किप करेगा, फिर नीचे जाएगा। लेकिन जब आप इफ एल्स लिखेंगे तो अब प्रोग्राम का हिस्सा सिर्फ इफ नहीं है, यहाँ तक। नाउ द इफ एल्स इज एक्चुअली कंप्राइजिंग ऑफ दिस इंटायर प्रोग्राम। सो इफ दिस इज फॉल्स then it will run this. So
थैंक
this
यू।
is now your if entire if statement. Yes, any problem?
नो मैम, थैंक यू।
Okay. Now let's go to lab task 4. Okay. This is also a very good lab task. It says write a program that converts scores into grades. Scores means a student will enter his number and the compiler will tell him that you are pass or fail. Yeah. Enter, let's say enter your score, or score means the marks which you, let's name the variable score. So the student will enter the marks and it will go to the variable score. Now what are we going to do? We are going to tell the student based on the score which he scored that what is your grade. Okay. Now we are going to actually talk about if else. Let's see how. If, let's say if score is uh, greater than or equal to 90. Sorry, 90. Okay. If it is greater than 90 or it is equal to 90, what does that mean? Just tell him that you got A grade. Okay. You got A grade. Fine. Now, if I just, I cannot only work on 90 marks. I mean, the student can get between 60 and 70, 80 and 50, and he can also be failed. So I need multiple if conditions because a grade cannot be between 90 and 100. It can be between many, and it can be less than 90. So I have to write another condition. Now remember, here we are going to, okay, let me show you something. I would write 3 if conditions in order to show you that what I'm actually doing. Let's say if score is greater than or equal to 70. See out. Your grade is B. Okay, let's check the if statement for C. Score is greater than or equal to 60. Okay, let's check for the final one, that is fail is less than or equal to 50. Okay. Now remember, look at these conditions. If the student enter his marks, he can only have one grade. I mean, he cannot have many grades. So look at the program. You want one if condition to be true only. You cannot have many grades. Why? Because the student can only have one grade. If he got 72 marks, then he can only have B grade. See? So if you look at the program, you need only one condition to be true. But here, because of the compiler, we are kind of constrained. See how? Look at the first condition. It says if the score is greater than or equal to 90. Why? Because I have to check if it is greater than 90 or equal to 90. That means he scored A grade. Okay, if I enter 91, then this condition will be true. But look at the other if condition. It says if the score is greater than or equal to 70. I mean, now I'm checking between 70. Now 91 is also greater than 70. So this condition will also be true. Now the third condition says if the score is greater than or equal to 60, this will also be true because 91 is also greater than 60. Now this is a constraint. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want C++ to select only one statement. Okay, if I enter 91, I want C++ to see if it is 91, then that's it. Just exist the entire if. Do not check for any other if. So in that way, I have to make all the ifs related to each other. I will say it in Urdu now. देखिए हम चाहते हैं कि कंपाइलर सिर्फ एक ग्रेड दे, सब पे ना जाए, लेकिन ये तरीका इस तरह है अगर आप मल्टीपल इफ्स लिखे कि वो एट अ टाइम आपको 3-4 दे सकता है। तो मेरे कहने का मतलब ये है कि ये तरीका सही नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर उसने 91 किया तो 91 तो 70 से भी ज्यादा है, 60 से भी ज्यादा है, वो तो फिर सबको ट्रू करेगा। तो हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा कंपाइलर सिर्फ, चूंकि हमारे पास यही तरीका है कि हम लिखें, हमारा कंपाइलर सिर्फ एक इफ को ट्रू करे, क्योंकि उसका एक ही ग्रेड होगा। तो उसके लिए हमने क्या करना है, हमने इन तमाम इफ्स को एक दूसरे से रिलेट करना है ऐसे तरीके से कि वो कंपाइलर सिर्फ अगर उसने एक सेलेक्ट कर लिया तो बस वो एग्जिट कर लेगा सारे इफ्स, बस उसको एक ग्रेड मिल गया, बाकी बात खत्म। तो उसके लिए हमारे पास तरीका है, एंड लेट्स सी व्हाट इज दैट मेथड। वी आर मेकिंग द कंपाइलर to select only one statement. Let me run this statement and show you the problem with it. Enter your score. Let's say I enter 91. See, you got A grade, your grade is B, your grade is C. That is wrong. I can only have one grade, okay? So, what is the problem here? Rather than writing if, I have to connect all of them with each other. So you cannot just multiple ifs. So, what is the answer to this? Write an else statement. And you would say, what is it? Okay. The problem here is at the end, you are also going to write another else. Let's say if a student enters wrong marks. Okay, so what have I done here? Now you would say, what is this? Else if else if statement? No, it's actually the old if else statement, but written connectedly. How? Now, remember, if I entered marks, the compiler comes here. If score is greater than or equal to 90, what does he do? He will do this, and he won't go to the else. Now, for the compiler, this is the F and this entire process written below else is one else for the compiler. He won't go to any other if. Why? Because we have made all the condition into else statements. हमने क्या किया, आपने देखा ना पिछले प्रोग्राम में कि इफ अगर फॉल्स हो गया तो वो फिर एल्स पे जाता है, लेकिन अगर इफ ट्रू हो गया तो एल्स को वो स्किप कर देता है। कंपाइलर के नजदीक ये तमाम एल्स के बाद जो ये जितना पोर्शन है ना आखिर तक, यहाँ तक, ये उसके लिए एक एल्स है। सही है? तो वो ये तब करेगा जब ये इफ फॉल्स होगा। तो जब ये इफ फॉल्स नहीं है तो वो तो एल्स पे जाएगा ही नहीं, तो सारे प्रोसेस को स्किप कर देगा और बिल्कुल एल्स के एंड में इधर आ जाएगा यहाँ पर। दैट इज what we are doing. But if this f is false, then according to our previous knowledge it goes to else. But we do not have only one condition. If this is false, then do this. No, we have to check it for multiple. Then what it does, then what we are doing is that then we are writing another if inside this else. So the compiler will come to this else if this if is false. Now inside this else it will check if this if is true. No, this if is false, then it will if this becomes false, then inside this if we have written another else, and so on. If this is confusing you guys, then you can do it like in a memory style, जिसको हम उर्दू में कहते हैं rata style. You know how that is also quite easy. Let's say I give you a program and I ask you to, let's say the same program, and I ask you to write to display the grade of a student, and I give you one option. Now you easily know that you have to write if conditions, but the condition in which only one condition become true at a time. So just remember this thing. The first will be if, and all the other conditions will be else if, else if, else if. At the end, you will write one else. This means that these are actually multiple if conditions. See, this is the first if, then else if, this is the second, this is the third, fourth, and this is the fifth. And remember, this is uh, written in such a way that your compiler can only select one from them. So this is also a way to remember them. आप इसको देखें, ऐसा समझे कि मैंने आपको एक प्रोग्राम दिया है और वो प्रोग्राम सिर्फ एट अ टाइम एक इफ कंडीशन को ट्रू कर सकता है. तो ये वो फॉर्मेट है जिसको फॉलो करते हुए आप अपने प्रोग्राम को सिर्फ एक ही कंडीशन दे सकते हैं. ठीक है, देखिए, इसका मतलब ये हमारा फर्स्ट इफ कंडीशन है, ये सेकंड है, ये थर्ड है. लेकिन ये ऐसे कंडीशंस है कि जिनमें एक वक्त में सिर्फ एक ही कंडीशन ट्रू हो सकती है. तो ये भी आप लिख सकते हैं. रिमेम्बरिंग द सिंटैक्स इज वेरी इजी. सो जस्ट रिमेम्बर, यानी कि if this is kind of difficult for you to say कि if this is false then it goes inside else and then it checks if, and then if that is difficult for you guys, you can just say these are multiple if conditions, but the syntax is different. This is the first if condition, this is the second if condition, this is the third if condition, but but you do not write if, you write else if. So it means that only one of them can be true. Acha. Okay.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम.
Yes.
मैम अगर हम ऐसा करें कि डोमेन डिफाइन करें, मतलब अगर 80 से 90 तक है तो ग्रेड ए आएगा, और तो फिर
बिल्कुल
तो
ऐसा
हमें
ही
एल्स की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी ना.
बिल्कुल, लेकिन अभी वो हमने किया नहीं है. वो ये है कि अगर ग्रेड 80 और 90 के बीच में लय करता है, यस, वो भी सही है. बट दैट इज काइंड ऑफ कंफ्यूजिंग द स्टूडेंट्स. यू आर सेइंग कि अब तक जितने मैंने प्रोग्राम किए उसमें हम ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि हम मतलब दो नंबरों के बीच में एक वैल्यू दे दे. ठीक है, आप अगर कर सकते हैं तो कर दे, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से मुझसे नहीं होगा. आई डोंट थिंक सो. यानी कि यू आर सेइंग दैट इफ आई वी से कि 80 और 90 के बीच में हो, दैट इज ट्रू, बट चेक इट इफ यू कैन डू इट. ठीक है, आई
ओके
थिंक
मैम.
यू कैन नॉट डू इट, बट you can try, and that will be a good addition. Okay. Okay, now let's go to our last lab task, which is very easy. अच्छा अच्छा, अभी lab task रखते हैं, अटेंडेंस ना दे. Okay. It says that we have to write a program which takes 3 digits, let's say 4 digits. Okay, this is wrong. We will take 4 digits and find the largest among them. This is quite easy. What do? We take numbers from the user, and we take 4 numbers from the user. Okay, and we would see okay, which one of them is larger. Okay, so let's say I declare 4 variables A, B, C, D. The reason that I'm doing 4 is you would see that enter the numbers that I'm trying to tell you the easiness of. Okay, and so the user will enter 4 numbers, so they all go to. Now remember, this program uh, is done in such a long way in your book, in your solution. You would be amazed that this is a very short program, and they have done it like in 2 to 3 pages in order to find that which of A, B, C, D is larger. Okay, give me a second. Okay, give me a second. The ISP guy is calling. Hello? Chiamate persone di stato chiamato la sua famiglia. Molte fonti non mai stato le vedere, che fonti c'è. Ma dove ti metti stato la fonte? Ma dove ti stato la fonte sempre, molte ma stato sempre. Di modo che parecchi il collega che mi vede secondo aveva suspenso. Usare the email is suspended. Ma dove ti stato Google suspended? Si prende per Uh-huh. Oh, no, that's a subject. Subject is a change, about that. आपको बदल दिया सर कितना बदल दी क्या बदल दी फिर क्या है ठीक है तो बहुत बात हो रहा है हाँ ठीक है हाँ हाँ okay, sorry for that. Actually, I have to take that call. It was from university. Okay. Now, if you look at lab number 5, it says that we have to, we did took 5 numbers from the user, 4 numbers, and now we have to find which one of them is greater. Let's say whatever the guy entered. Now, if you follow the example in book, it is such a long thing. Now, even if you look at your current situation, let's say I want to check A, then I will say if A is greater than B, okay. If A is greater than C, if A is greater than D, then A is the largest one. Similarly, if you want to check if A, B is greater, and that will be so many if conditions. अगर आप एक एक नंबर को चेक करेंगे तो आपको कितनी ज्यादा इफ कंडीशंस लिखनी पड़ेगी इनकी ए बी से बड़ा है ए सी से डी से फिर क्या बी ए से बड़ा है फिर डी और सी और हर एक को अलग अलग चेक करना पड़ेगा मगर अब यहाँ पर हमारे पास नाउ वी कैन इजीली यूज अवर एंड पर्सन एंड हाउ if you remember we said sorry if let's say a is greater than b so that means A is greater than B. But we also want to check if A is greater than C and if A is greater than D. So what do? I write an AND gate between them. What does that mean? Let me write it, then I will show you. If A is greater than C, A is greater than D. Now look at this statement. What I am doing it logically is that I am actually connecting all of them with the AND gate. And is for AND gate. What does that mean? That means that in first semester, if you remember the truth table of AND gate, if this condition is true, if A is greater than B, the output is true or 1. If this is true, the output is 1. If this is true, the output is 1. That means 1, 1, 1. That means this condition is true. Now, this is the property of AND gate. If one of them is false, then the condition is false. The output is 0. That is the property of AND gate. Now, why are we using AND gate between them? Because we must see that A has to be greater than all of them. Then what do we do? Then we would say A sorry, is largest. Otherwise, we cannot say that A is largest. If one of them is false, this depends upon the situation. See, what is the benefit of using AND gate here? I am saving time. I can check multiple conditions at the same time. This is the benefit of AND gate, but I will use AND gate according to the situation. If I have to use OR gate, this is the symbol of OR gate. Then this will be false. Why? OR means it is not necessary that all of them becomes true. Even if one of them is 1, the output will be 1. So that will be a problem. So here, all of these 3 must be true, then this will happen. If one of them is false, that means A is not the largest. So this condition won't be happening. It is kind of joining two to three conditions. Now, once I studied it, I'm not sure that how many AND gates can we write in one statement. And it says that we can write 21 AND gates, but I haven't checked it for 21. But up till now, we can add, I mean, we are checking 3 statements at the same time. This is also a benefit of our AND gate. Now let's check for B. If B is greater than A and B is greater than C, and B is greater than D. That means that B is largest. Let's say B let's check for C. Even still, this is a long one. If you are not using the AND gate, it will be more longer. Greater than B, greater than D. That means that the last one, if D is greater than A and D is greater than B, D is greater than C, that means D is the largest. Okay, let's write return 0 here. Okay, so see, look at the program. Now this program in only 4 if statements, it's actually checking the program. If you look at the solution in your C++ solution manual, would see that it is such a long program. There it's checking A with B, then A with C, then A with D, then I mean it's a very long process. But the AND gate has made it so easier for us. So we can check A with B, C, D in one statement, then B with A, C, D, and so on. Let's run it. Enter the numbers. So I'm entering 4 numbers. Let's say 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, see, 5 is the largest number. See, look at the end. 5 is the largest. Look at, how fast it performs the actions. So it says it checked 5 is greater than A, 5 is greater than B, 5 is greater than C. This is a very good method if you are given to find the largest number. Now, up इसी program को you can also use it for smallest as well. Just change the signs and this will be a program for the smallest integer as well. Similarly, if I ask you to enter 4 numbers and I ask you to check if they are equal, then you can also find equality as well as less than or greater than and so on. But these are kind of intermediate level programs. They also do not come in the paper. Acha, there is another program which uses the modulus operator. What do? We enter a 4-digit number. Let's say I enter a number 2789, 2789. Sorry, a 5-digit number 27890, and I ask the
Repeat
क्या चीज ये program repeat करूं?
yes,
अच्छा
इसको थोड़ा repeat.
अच्छा देखिए, okay, I will say it in Urdu, okay, in order to make them clear. अच्छा देखिए, मैंने आपसे कहा ना कि मैं यूजर से कह रही हूँ कि 4 नंबर इंटर करें और आप ये बताएं कि इनमें सबसे बड़ा कौन सा है। अब अगर हम वैसे करेंगे तो हम पहले ए को बी के साथ कंपेयर करेंगे, इफ ए इज ग्रेटर देन बी। फिर दूसरी इफ में लिखेंगे अगर ए बी से सी से बड़ा है, अगर ए डी से बड़ा है, तो तब जाकर हम कहेंगे कि अच्छा इसका मतलब है कि ए सबसे बड़ा है। ये इसी तरह फिर बी को चेक करेंगे, फिर सी को, फिर डी को। अब ये तो जरा बहुत ही लंबा हो जाएगा ना कि हम एक एक के लिए इफ कंडीशन लगाएंगे। तो आसान क्या है? ओके, someone say something. Okay, so what is easy? आसान ये है कि अगर हम कहें भाई ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है, अब आप कहेंगे एंड कहाँ से आ गया? अगर आप स्लाइड्स में देखें तो मैंने आपसे कहा था कि ये भी हम इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। एंड ये सी प्लस प्लस हमें एक और फीचर दे रहा है। इसका मतलब क्या है? देखिए, अगर आप इसका लफ्जी मतलब भी देखें ना, तो क्या है, if a is greater than b and a is greater than c and a is greater than b, इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि ये हमें एक आसानी दे रहा है। आप एक वक्त में 3-4 स्टेटमेंट्स भी चेक कर सकते हैं, लेकिन मसला क्या है, ये सारे एक दूसरे से रिलेटेड है। एंड का मतलब ये कि इसका मतलब ये कि तीनों ने ट्रू होना है। अगर हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा इफ कंडीशन ट्रू हो तो ये कब ट्रू होगा? अगर ए बी से बड़ा है, ए सी से बड़ा है और ए डी से भी बड़ा है।
Yes.
ठीक है, तो ये उसने आपको एक आसानी दी है कि आप इस तरह भी कर सकते हैं। अब इसी तरह हमारे पास और गेट भी है, लेकिन और गेट में क्या होगा कि देखिए, अगर आप नाम से देखें, इफ ए इज ग्रेटर देन बी और ए इज ग्रेटर देन सी, यानी कि दोनों में से एक भी हो। अब हम तो ये नहीं चाहते ना कि दोनों में से एक भी हो, हम तो चाहते हैं कि तीनों बातें सही हो। तब हम जाके कह सकते हैं कि हाँ, ए बी से बड़ा, ए सबसे बड़ा है। अगर इनमें से एक भी गलत हो गया तो तब तो ए बी से बड़ा ना, ए सबसे बड़ा ना हुआ, तब तो ए छोटा हुआ। तो आपने एंड और गेट सिचुएशन के मुताबिक लगाने हैं, और ये आपको फायदा कब देगा? जैसे ये अब आप, ओके लेट मी से दिस, the only place where we need AND gate and OR gate is to find the largest or the smallest number. We do not use it anywhere else. Because if this is kind of confusing you guys. After this, we go to the loops. We do not use AND gate that much. But the reason that I have included AND gate in this lab is that at least you should know something about it. Otherwise, people do not use it that much. But you should know the use of it. ठीक है, तो ऐसा ना कि आप कंफ्यूज हो जाए कि अच्छा ये फिर और कहाँ यूज होगा, बस अब ये याद रखिए कि इधर ही यूज होता है, लार्जेस्ट और स्मॉलेस्ट नंबर में, और ये कहीं यूज भी नहीं होता। ठीक है, तो ये थोड़ा सा आपको आसानी होगी ये चीज याद रखने में। अच्छा, what I was saying is that we have another lab, another task in which we enter a 5 number digit to the compiler. Let's say 27890. Now these are 5 digits, but this is stored in one variable, int a. And I asked the compiler to display the digits as 2 separate, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 0. That is a very lengthy program, and that is done by the help of a modulus operator. But the reason that I did not included that lab here is because I personally think we can easily do it in a few steps by using loops. Now, you will study loops in your next week, and the reason that I'm not doing that lab right now is because with the passage of time, we go forward. We try to make things more easier for us. So that program would be very easy if we use it with the help of loops. So that is why I have skipped that lab, and we would study that in the loops. Okay, any question?